January 24th, Eclipse OpenJ9 community call. Got the usual agenda before us, and as always, please add your name and affiliation to the list of attendees so we have some idea of who's regularly been attending these calls. I will pause here. If there's something that's not on the agenda that you think should be, feel free to add it into the any other business or to chime in now, and we'll get things set up in the right section or tackle them right off the bat. So I'll pause if somebody wants to jump in with a topic. Okay. We don't have a lightning talk scheduled this week. It's actually been quite a bit since we've had one. But if somebody has a talk they'd like to give, reach out to me. We can get something scheduled. Okay, so let's take a look at the recent user-raised issues. And there's been two that have come in the last week, I guess. One is a question about being unable to build Java 17. So I think Pete's already been responding to that, so thank you, Pete. The other one is a file encoding issue. It looks like this has got a draft PR going already too, so those both seem to be well in hand. Is there anything that's older that needs some discussion here? Okay. Then we will jump back to the agenda. The 035 release. Last time we had talked, there was a problem with the website not being updated. Just checking if Pete is on the call. Yes, he's here. Pete, has that been resolved?
No. I was typing, but I'm not sure I finished typing. I did finish. So I thought I had a good solution by putting the website in a different branch of the repo where we publish the website content. But now Eclipse has come back to me saying their tool can't handle branches. So I can put the user guide content back alongside the website and see if that makes Eclipse happy and they can get the new user guide live on the web. And then I just need to get my changes approved and merged. So I'm hoping to make some progress today.
Thanks, Pete. That brings us to the 036 release, Java 8, 11, and 17. I see a couple of adoptium problems listed on the milestone.
Yeah, so we're failing a couple of tests, but they don't seem to be nothing to do with OpenJ9.
Yeah, there's a fix for the MVCS tests. I'm looking for a second reviewer on it, but it can go in today. That's a test issue.
And then Len was going to look at the CA certs number. It seems like, I don't know, the test has J9 in the name, so maybe...
Oh, this must be a smoke test.
Yeah, it's a smoke test.
Yeah. So I know for the Temurin build, since that did get updated, so I'll have to look at this issue. I didn't realize this issue existed. I'll follow up with this one. I know we did have to update the Temurin smoke test because of a change that happened between October and January. So likely this is an update to the test that needs to happen. But I don't know for sure.
Yeah, so I don't think these are blocking anything
No.
other than we need to get these fixes and maybe rerun some tests. So meanwhile, we're still continuing to triage the builds, the Semaru builds. So we have a triage update for 17 for 11 that I need to look at, and I don't think we've done 17, and the builds for 8 are still running.
Okay, so it sounds like we're close, though, assuming that the triage comes out clean.
Getting closer, I think, for Semaru to be published. There's still some things that IBM has to do. From an OpenJ9 perspective, we're looking good. All the open source testing has run without seeing any problems.
Okay, good to hear. Then I guess we can jump down to Java 19. And have you had a chance to update the issues? Are we actually down to 8 now? Is that correct?
That's correct. That's up to date.
So that's good to see some movement in the right direction there. Do we have sort of a sense of where we're at with those remaining 8 issues? Just pull up the milestone plan. That's probably the easiest way to this.
I'll let Jack talk to that if he's on the call.
Yeah, hello. So for the Project Loom, I'm going through the issue with the get lock info issue. It seemed to be a operating system specific one. I was only reproducible on Windows 11. Failure rate is about 25 to 35%. With Windows 2016, I wasn't able to reproduce it in about 200 runs. For the humongous stack, we're only putting it there because it's also associated with the invalid return address, so those two can be treated as the same. And for the JIT return address assertion, Daryl have been testing with the proposed changes I have open on the PR, and he noticed there was an edge case that is not covered. I have been locally testing a fix that I have for the PR that looks to resolve it, but I wasn't able to do the full on-thread testing, so I'll be asking Daryl for help today to get a bit more stress testing with a bigger machine.
So Jack, assuming that testing goes through successfully, does that mean that the assertion failure is believed to be addressed with that PR?
From my local side, that I have not seen that assertion in about 30 runs. Daryl did mention that he was using a particular machine with over 100 physical threads, so that might expose some particular edge cases that I wouldn't be able to using my own Fire machine. And if Daryl is on the call, maybe he can give a more detailed update on the Loom, the JIT memory usage in Skynet. That seemed to be one of the blocker at the moment, since about a quarter of our runs on the invalid return address test was failing due to excessive memory usage that got killed by the OS.
Yeah, I don't see Daryl today.
Okay. Right. Yeah, so from a VM perspective, I would say we're very close to getting everything closed.
Okay, there's a couple of other ones on here that we haven't talked about then. There's the pin a lot illegal monitor state exception.
Yeah, it's illegal monitor state exception, sorry.
That one, we believe is an issue due to current thread being cached. So pre-JDK 19, current thread is effectively final. But with Loom, it can alternate between being a carrier thread or a virtual thread. With that specific issue, I was seeing cases where when inspecting the code, you would expect it to be a carrier thread, but it was returning a virtual thread, and vice versa in some other cases. So my assumption is that we're still treating it in the pre-JDK 19 manner, and not fetching it each time. So Daryl said he was going to look at possibly disabling some optimizations to see if that issue goes away. I'm not sure if he's had a chance to get to that, though.
Yeah, I don't see him on the call yet, so. The other ones that we haven't talked about yet then are the vector, the int 512 vector test failures, but let's tackle that in a minute because that's probably Panama. The serviceability JVM TI segmentation fault. Jack, is there?
I haven't been looking through that one yet.
Yeah, that one is new. We're still trying to reproduce it. So at this point, I don't think there's much to say about that one.
And the GC issue?
I can.
Yeah, it has been discovered this week. It's a new one as well, and reason is identified. So we're working on it.
All right, so just checking. Cheng, do you have an update on the vector test failure?
So that one, yeah. So we've been looking at that one. I think that it has a low reproducibility. We're still trying to get more logging data. I don't know if Jason's on the call. Yeah, Jason's on the call. I don't know. Can you give an update on what we think the failure is here?
This is quite intermittent since like JDK 19 test started, and the interesting part is like this test run like more than 3,000 tests, and then the test harness won't spit out all the test result. At the end, it's just give a few. The latest one does 8 subtests failed, but in the test result we cannot find any, and from earlier some subtests showing seems to be in the subtest field are kind of not fixed, maybe moving target inside of that big test suite, and at this moment probably just as Toby wondering like can we get exactly what test suite failed, and maybe we need look at the test harness code a little bit more to understand how do we get the full test result. That's probably the first step.
So with what I'm hearing is it doesn't sound like we're imminently on closing out on this release. Still sounds like we're aiming sometime in February at the earliest. Is that an accurate perception?
Yeah, I think so.
I was wondering if we should be considering doing a milestone 1 build. Get the branches created for 19. It seems like delivery's slowed down. Delivery of fixes is slowed down. We should get a branch created and do a milestone 1 where we run expanded testing. I think there's a bunch of testing that has probably never been run or run infrequently.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then we could even publish the M1.
So when were you thinking for doing that kind of M1 build?
As soon as we can, as soon as we're not busy with 036. And then there's the question if we still want to go ahead and take 036 and create branches for Java 19 on top of that, or if we should just take the latest. I don't know if anybody's been tracking the fixes we need with the tags that we asked for. But maybe we don't have enough people on the call to discuss that today.
I was going to say, why don't we just do a quick check for how many things have been Considering we have one, maybe 8 things, I suspect that that we have not been tracking this closely enough.
Well, we could ask the people who are here today. Toby, what do you think about taking the latest for Java 19? Just doing a branch sometime soon.
There are 2 issues that concern me. One is the excessive JIT memory usage, and the other is the invalid return address. The second one doesn't concern me as much because I think with options we can work around that one. The first issue, I'm not sure we can work around. So if someone does want to try a milestone build, what kind of experience will they have with it? So I think to me that's my concern about doing a milestone before we've addressed that particular issue.
Okay, but what about branching for 19? It seems like delivery of changes for 19 is slowed down, and we could move to the state where we start double delivering them, and we should get a branch created. So if we're going to create a branch, if we agree to that, and we're going to create a branch, then the question is, do we go from 036 and try to find all the changes we need on top of that, or do we just branch the latest?
Okay, sorry. I would branch latest. I don't think this list is complete, and I think trying to find all the changes, it's possible we'll miss something, and then that's another issue we have to track. So I think the safest thing is to just branch latest.
Okay, so we'll have to check with Daryl as well. I could create a branch soon, just so we have something, and it could be updated after the fact if necessary. But and then, from what Toby said, we still have one problem that's blocking us from doing milestone 1.
Yeah, I think I would second Toby's proposal to branch from the latest. Not only because that list is incomplete, but as we're going to immediately want to be able to do JDK 20, the more testing we can get on the code that's going to end up in that release as well, the better. So trying to go backwards in time, I don't think provides a lot of value.
I guess that opens the question: what do we call it? Should we call it 037? And that was tentatively reserved for Java 20, but we could change that.
I think 037 probably makes the most sense. It's the next release that we're doing. And we'll update Java 20 to 038.
Well,
assuming that we get it out on time.
Yeah, I suspect 038 might come, like the April release might come before we're ready for 20, but time will tell.
Anything else we want to talk about around Java 19? The one thing I think we do need to talk about for Java 20 is how far are we from being able to update to the latest of the OpenJDK code for Java 20.
It seemed like we have a PR or some PRs that we're mostly in good shape, except we had to extract some unexcludes from that PR and make a separate PR for those, which was done this morning. So I know Cheng was looking for a review from Toby. We were just turning off some tests for Java 20, and then Jason was stubbing some things that we needed to compile. And then I don't know if there's anything on the extension side other than taking the latest, or not necessarily the latest, but one of the older builds of OpenJDK. I'm hoping we can do all this stuff soon. Not today, then tomorrow.
Sounds like this week is a reasonable time frame.
And then even if this gets us to, like a week-old build, hopefully we can easily move up to the latest. Depends on what went in the last week at OpenJDK.
Yeah, hopefully their level of change in this has gone way down too, as we address the highest level bugs. Anything else for Java 20? Right, then jump down. Do we have an update on the Adoptium side?
Actually, sorry, just one more thing for 20. I suspect there's going to be some test failures, but maybe we're going to promote and accept that we have these failures and then work on doing some excludes like we've done in the past when we're moving to new versions.
I think that makes sense. Get us to the latest JDK 20 and then try and burn through the exclude list and rest the things that have needed to be excluded.
Yeah, okay, so we'll proceed with that.
Right. Do we have an Adoptium update?
Just a real brief one. We're finishing January release. We've got about 10 platform versions left to go. Good news is this is the first time we've been able to release AIX JDK 17. We had been blocked by an TCK issue until this January release. So that's a milestone for us. And I will also mention kind of SSDF and Salsa. I kind of want to start the conversation in the OpenJ9 community as well. And I'm happy to actually help get OpenJ9 into the kind of Salsa badging system. This is like secure dev, proof that you're working in a secure way. And I believe that OpenJ9 already has most of the good habits that one has to show to be able to declare that you are a certain level. So it might be worth just spinning up an issue and stepping through the criteria so that you can get that badge, or we can get that badge on the OpenJ9 site. And it's SLSA. Sorry, it's pronounced salsa, but it's slsa.dev if people want to take a look. That's all I had.
Thanks, Shelley. Adam, is there an update on the infrastructure?
Yeah, so we added 1 more terabyte drive to the Artifactory instance, so we should be good there for when 21 comes online. And the UNB VPN was down last week. It was up again last week, so we're good there. I don't think there's anything else to report.
Okay. How about JIT server and any updates on that? Okay. MicroJIT?
I don't see Marius on the call, so.
CRIU?
Hi. So yeah, in the last week, I've been working with the infra team to set up container images. So these would be similar to the existing container images we have in Semmer containers. These are container images that will install CRIU before include on top of installing the JDK, so that the environment will be enabled for checkpoint restore. So that work is still ongoing, but we're hoping that future releases will not simply be binary drops, but also container releases. So that's what we're working towards.
Okay. And I think that brings us to the end of our agenda. The only other issue is the Mac M1 stuff, and with no Daryl, I suspect no update there. Any other business for this week? All right, then. I guess we'll have the next one of these calls January 31st. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.